live from Studio 6B on a Thursday night. Real America's Voice. Glad you're in. Rick Delgado. Sitting shotgun tonight on a historic night, a historic day. We'll talk about Aaron and Fran holding it down as always. We've got the A-team on the ground. We've got Charlie Kirk in Arizona. We got all kinds of stuff going on in this 2 hours. We'll try to bring you as much information as possible, as many opinions as possible. I'm wearing my We the People November 5th, 2024 shirt because this is the only thing that I could wear tonight that would be appropriate. Because in the end, and I'm wearing my Make America Great hat here, that I think Ben gave me these hats from his buddy, Ben Bergquam, who's going to join us here in a second. This is the only shirt that's appropriate tonight, November 5th, 2024, We the People, with Donald Trump's outline in the American flag, because we are the ultimate jury. The jury spoke today, a jury of people who hate Donald Trump in a city that hates Donald Trump. Yes, I know he's New York. I know he's a New Yorker. He spent a lot of his life there. He built the city. Let's face it. And I've been saying this for a long time. Joe Biden won that city by 88%. He's going to win it again by somewhat similar. And today is today we are exactly where we knew we were going to be. A total travesty, a historic disaster for this country. Historic disaster for public faith in our system, a system that's looked upon around the world as the system. Our jurisprudence here, people looked at as our legal system. Well, at least, there you get a fair shake. We've never seen such an absolute fundamental level of unfairness in a criminal proceeding as we have seen from the jump here, from the judge to the prosecutor, to everything involved, to the jury instructions. The jury still doesn't know what the secondary crime is. It's not even on their forms as far as I can tell from what people have said. The FEC declined to prosecute this case. The U.S. Attorney's Office declined to prosecute this case. The SDNY declined to prosecute this case. Cy Vance in this office that Alvin Bragg now occupies declined to prosecute this case. This case was moved forward by a far-left prosecutor because the guy in the other end's name was Trump. So we're going to get into a lot of things here tonight. We're going to bring you as much coverage of this as we can from right here at the desk, from Charlie Kirk and his crew out in Arizona as well. But let's go live to New York City. And we have, who do we have first? We have Ben Bergquam, and we have Andrew Giuliani, and we have David Zier. Who am I going to first, Aaron? Ben Bergquam, the great Ben Bergquam. Welcome in to Live from Studio 6B. Ben, a historic disaster for this country. Can't necessarily say that we didn't know that we would get here. I think we all knew, obviously, that as the polls continued to show that they were not going to beat them there, we knew lawfare was going to take over. We saw these four, obviously all these counts brought, these four cases brought. We saw the Mar-a-Lago raid. We remember that day like we will remember this day. Where we were this day that this happened. Give me your thoughts here a couple hours removed from a guilty on all 34 counts verdict for the president.
Well, the first is everyone needs to understand this is a long game for the leftist, communist, godless traitors that have really taken over this country. And this was telegraphed years ago when you had Fani Willis and you had Alvin Bragg running on their guarantee to their constituents, to their voters, that they were going to prosecute President Trump. And that's all this was about. This was about keeping a promise to their deranged leftist, Trump derangement syndrome leftist base, and they did it. And this judge went right along with it. And it's as you said, it wasn't a surprise to anyone here. It's a sad day. I'm wearing, as you said, my black Make America Great Again hat. This was given to me yesterday by a Chinese American who escaped the CCP, and now who is in tears today with what happened. But they also understand that this is not the end. This is the beginning. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. What happened today doesn't matter. What matters is what you do tomorrow. And that's this generation's fight. It's what President Trump is going to do from here on out. And what really matters, the verdict will be on November 5th. And what matters is what you do tonight and going up to that point. And my recommendation is everybody gets involved. If you aren't fighting yet, you better get in the fight. I would recommend everyone go to donaldjtrump.com and do everything you possibly can, whether that's donate or volunteer your time wherever you're at in this country. And then on top of that is get people behind President Trump in the House and the Senate. We have to understand that, like we saw in the first term of President Trump, if he doesn't have the people to give him the backup in the House and the Senate, he can't do very much. And executive orders only last until the next president. So we've got to get people in there. We've got to get people in the state houses. We've got to prosecute once we get in there. We got to get these traitors that you have, like Alvin Bragg. We have to hold them accountable and go down the line. And again, you look at what's happened on our southern border, everything, the disaster that Joe Biden is to America. We've got a lot of work to do, but this is 50 years in the making. This is not an overnight thing, and we've got a lot of work ahead of us. The cool thing is we're on the right side of it, and I believe that this generation, this remnant of patriots in this nation have been hardened from 2020, 2022, and now heading into 2024 to take this fight directly to these guys, and we win in the end.
I agree with a lot of what you said, Ben. Most importantly, what rings true to me is the line you said, they did it. And that's the way they're going to look at this today. They actually did it. They got them. We've been saying their only goal is to go get them, get them. We got to get them no matter how we get them. Well, they got them today.
That's it.
And I heard Alan Dershowitz on, I believe, with John Solomon or Steve Bannon earlier and said, they got him. And I don't hold a lot of hope out, he said, for his appeal in New York going through the system because, again, these are all people, humans. They put on the black robe, but guess what? They're still leftists. They still have to go home to a family. They still have to go home to their friends. They still have to go to their social clubs like he did. He said when he represented President Trump. And I held no hope through the appeals process in New York that any of these people are going to have a spine because they don't want to live with the consequences of being the guy who overturned or let off Donald Trump. And he doesn't hold a lot of hope out there. And I'll go one step forward and see what you think of this. If you're the judge, Ben, and I thought a lot about this today since the verdict, I cannot see how this judge does not sentence him to jail. And I never thought I would have said that. And I think I changed my mind on it today as I thought about it. You can't be this knee deep. You schedule it 4 days before the Republican convention is supposed to start, and he may be able to get a stay on that. I don't know. But I don't know how you come this far as this judge and then say, okay, probation sounds good to me. I don't see it anymore. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you may be right. And the thing we have to understand is this is all being led by the radical, deranged left that won't be happy until President Trump is dead. That's what these guys are driving this. They won't even be happy when President Trump is in jail. They will only be happy when he's dead, and everybody else that supports him is as well. We are currently in a civil war in this nation. People may not want to admit it, but that's what we're in. We're in a political civil war where we are divided, and what will determine the outcome of this war is the direction of this country. Will we be a godly Christian, law-abiding nation, or will we be the godless, communist, leftist nation that these people want us to be in? And I agree with you. It's the same people that are chanting no borders, no walls, no USA at all that will only be happy when we have no border sovereignty, that are driving the ship that this judge and that every Democrat that has sold out this nation are beholden to. So I think there's going to be an extreme amount of pressure put on this judge to do exactly that. But we need to understand this as well. This isn't just the Democrats that are stabbing us in the front that have telegraphed this from the beginning, that did a 4-year coup against President Trump, starting with the Russia collusion hoax and lie and coup against him, and then continued that through, and they were never held accountable. This is also the establishment Republican side of this that stabs you in the back. And just watch what happens over these next days and weeks and months with the Nikki Haley factions and the John McCain factions of the Republican Party that start coming out and saying, oh, President Trump's unfit for office. They're going to try to put somebody else in there in the RNC, especially with the timing of the sentencing on this. And then beyond that, let's look forward and say President Trump wins in November. This is basically their ability to say President Trump is illegitimate, and we immediately will send Antifa, BLM, and Hamas into the American streets to continue what they started for the first 4 years under President Trump to burn down this nation. So we need to understand what's going to come. The stakes are incredibly high, and we have to have the resolve to fight to victory. This is a long fight that we're in, and it's this generation's fight to do it. I fight not for myself. And again, I'm blessed to be here because we just celebrated Memorial Day. The people that have come before us that shed that blood for the freedom that we hold today. But we fight, this generation fights for the next generation, for my children and their children. That's what we're up against right now, and it's our generation's turn.
All right, Ben Bergquam, as always, we appreciate your time on a historic night here, live from New York City, live from Studio 6B. Thanks, Ben. Let's go out to David Zier and Andrew Giuliani. We have them joining us as well. Guys, welcome in. Andrew, I'll come to you. I only got a couple minutes here, and then maybe we can hold you over through the break. I guess give me your thoughts. I don't know if you heard my last conversation with Ben on where we go from here. Sentencing on July 11th, a couple days before the RNC. I don't see how this judge is not all in and sentences the president to jail. That's just my take on it at this point. I don't see how he lets up his foot off the gas and just says, okay, probation. But give me your thoughts on where we are tonight.
Well, I'll let David get into the political ramifications of all this and what's being missed here while Alvin Bragg says he's doing his job. Yeah. But look at Judge Mershon. I don't think you have to look any further with the fact that his daughter is profited to the tune of over $93 million off of candidates for her company by the name of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. The two of them are on the ticket against Donald J. Trump. You look at every single action he took in this trial, it was extremely biased. There was politics at every single step of all of this. I will tell you, the pit in my stomach that I still have right now, I still have it, that I felt as soon as I knew that there was a verdict, because David and I talked about this while we were waiting. We knew that if there was a verdict early, then the Manhattanites were just going to look beyond the evidence, which was lacking, and just look at their hate for Donald Trump and convict him. But I looked at Donald Trump as he was walking out of that courtroom. We made eye contact, and I saw somebody who looked stern. He looked serious, but he looked resolute. And he looked like, David, he understood that his mission very, very well, and that the weight of this constitutional republic was on his shoulders.
Even yesterday.
Even yesterday, right? Yeah.
Guys, can we hold you through the break? We got to hit the break here, but we'll come back to you if you've got a few minutes. Rick Delgado, I want to give you a chance before we go to the break. Also, give me your thoughts here.
I don't know if you could tell, I'm kind of an eternal optimist. I think this is just the start. This is just the start. And I think we talked about it yesterday when I was trying to say that I feel like he's already come to the conclusion. He knows what's going to happen. It's going to be a guilty verdict. He's already beyond that. He's hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. He got the worst. So now he knows this is the route we have to go. I feel like that's the way we're going, and I think you have not even begun to see him fight.
All right, let's discuss what you think that route is. We'll bring back Andrew and David as well. Live from Studio 6B, just getting started. Charlie Kirk and some coverage that he's doing as well at the bottom of the hour. We'll bring you all of it here on a historic night in America. Let's bring, we got David and Andrew up now, even though we're not on the network, we're still live. Let's get some more time with them here.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey guys, welcome on back. We're live on all socials here still. David.
What's up, guys?
Give me your thoughts.
Well, I'm not surprised. We thought there was one person on the jury that was toying and sending smiles over to the congressional surrogates for Trump at one point. I saw him agreeing with Todd Blanche in the cross-examination of Michael Cohen. And I was like, oh, there's one, you know. And then somebody said they were on Truth Social and the jury. But like 8 out of the 12 relied on the New York Times for the information. So I don't know if we're necessarily surprised here. I think the next few days are going to really.
I mean, does anybody know? Does anybody
looks like that guy was a Trojan horse, probably.
Does anybody even know if the jury understood what the secondary crime was? What does the jury even know to this moment what the secondary crime even was?
Okay. So if you'll allow me to confuse you, because this is still extremely confusing for me, and I've been around politics and the law for my entire life over here. You first had the misdemeanor where the statute of limitations expired on. That was a falsification of business record. To make that a falsification 1, which is a felony, you need to have another adjoining crime. They decided to go with New York State election laws. Yeah. This is when the non-consent actually comes in. The non-unanimous consent, the judge threw it out and said you can get to fraud in the New York State election law 3 different ways: FECA violation, federal election law violation, taxes, or another business fraud. Falsifying business fraud. That's where the judge did, as David Zier said, and I'll quote him, the smorgasbord, basically, where they said you can pick any of these right here.
Exactly.
And that's a very New York word right there, so it was very appropriate.
Yeah.
So how did the jury come back so quickly, deliberating after 5 hours, basically, of deliberation? It's because they were biased. It's that simple, right? I mean, there's no way they could have ultimately done this in this little time without bias.
We're going to let's jump back on the network here in 20 seconds. We'll bring you guys back on. You have a question? Live from Studio 6B on a Thursday night, May 30th. Andrew Giuliani and David Zier, live from New York, are with us, and they're still with us. Let's go back out there. David Zier, I didn't have a chance for you to tell us in the audience what your feelings are here tonight, so why don't you do that? Give me your thoughts.
Well, there are reports that WinRed, the Republican fundraising website, has crashed, so we're going to try to confirm that. Probably excessive fundraising for Donald Trump going on here. But this is the New York trifecta, guys. The E. Jean Carroll case, the fraud case, and now you have the criminal trial brought to you by Alvin Bragg. It's the New York trifecta here. But I think this is baked into the polls already. The NPR poll, I believe, today had 75% of people saying it's not going to affect their decision going forward. I'm going to verify that. But Trump has gone into the heart of the Democrats' lion's den and territory, meeting with the Teamsters, the Democratic Union workers in the city, Harlem, West Harlem, the Bronx, Schnecksville, Scranton, Biden's backyard, Blue Wilmington, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, all in the last month or two, and then Blue Jersey. He's living in Biden's head campaign, and the Biden campaign, rent-free here. All this goes on while Alvin Bragg, inside at the press conference about an hour ago, said that he did his job. Well, you know that 2 years ago he was only prosecuting 7% of the criminal activity in New York City, and about 5 hours ago, 3 men with machetes walked into McDonald's in Midtown Manhattan. We had another attempted rape up in the Bronx, even though DA, he's not the DA for the Bronx. And what's going on here is people are being lit on fire on the one line in Manhattan, in New York City. And this is the story of what's going on here.
David, there is one thing. I agree with everything you said, except one thing that I do want to just kind of say. I don't know if this is necessarily baked into the polls, and I'll tell you why. Theoretically, I think a lot of people were asked, well, what happens if they convict the former president of the United States and the leading candidate for president? And they may have answered, once this actually hits you, you actually realize what's at stake for the future of our constitutional republic and for Western civilization. I think Donald Trump is going to get a 5 to 7 point bump in the polls because of this. Look at your polling here over the next couple weeks. And by the way, that will in all likelihood last to October and November 5th, which is obviously the day where the polling really matters. And November 5th, by the way, that's the day when the real verdict comes out.
And Andrew, things are not going to get better. This ship's not going to turn around in 4 months, and Trump is already 10 points plus in a lot of categories, higher than he was in 2020 at this point. And in the Bronx last week, people told us they can't afford milk, they can't afford gas, and they can't walk at night without getting attacked. So that's the story, and I think it's just going to get worse until November.
Yeah. Let's face it, they wanted to always get Orange Man bad, and we want to get him. But really, democracy, American democracy, is the one that took the hit today, and that's hard to recover from. So, guys, thanks for your time. Andrew, thanks for all your coverage. We've been following your tweets. I mean, it's been amazing to watch, keeping us up to date. You guys have both done great work, and it's not over, obviously. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. God bless America.
All right, live from Studio 6B, David Zier and Andrew Giuliani, live from New York. Charlie Kirk, Aaron, if we have it, is doing a special tonight, I believe. It's called Thought Crimes, and I believe they're discussing, obviously, the Trump trial, and we want to go out to that if we have it.
The weakest point
let's
for
take a
Donald
little
Trump
bit of this.
between him leaving office and now, the weakest point for him was that window just after the midterm election where people were thinking Republicans didn't get their red wave, Trump magic is fading, this is the opportunity for others to step up. And what slammed the door on that? What slammed the door on that was Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis and Jack Smith bringing these charges, and that's what locked it in. That after that, no question Trump was going to get renominated again. Democrats chose to have Donald Trump as their opponent when they did that. And now he's convicted. Congratulations, you guys got what you wished for, and hope you enjoy it.
So I want to play that. Alvin Bragg says he's just doing his job. It is hard to put into words the craven nature of this lunatic, where he has allowed crime to go all throughout New York. 24,000 plus New Yorkers have been assaulted on the streets so far this year. He has downgraded 53% of felonies to misdemeanors. It is open season in New York, unless you are a political dissident, unless you have a political view that they don't like. And I want everybody in the audience to understand, you may not like Donald Trump, but if you have any admiration for the United States of America, for our Constitution, for checks and balances, for consent to the governed, for the tradition that built the West, then today is an outrage. And there is only one option, which is you send a message in November that you still believe in our customs and our traditions. It's not about voting for Trump. It's about voting for the continuation or the obliteration of the United States of America. Play cut 150.
I did my job. Our job is to follow the facts and the law without fear or favor. And that's exactly what we did here. And what I feel is just gratitude to work alongside phenomenal public servants who do that each and every day in matters that you all write about and make the press, and in lots of matters that you don't. I did my job. We did our job. Many voices out there. The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken.
We are also now live on Real America's Voice. Hello, everybody. We are live. And by the way, I know you're saying, Charlie, where's the MAGA hat? It's incoming. It's coming in. So this is very important. And Jack, I'm going to throw it to you. Alvin Bragg ran on this. Alvin Bragg told us this is what he was going to do. He ran on a nakedly political election promise. I will use political power to go after the opposition. If his name was not Trump, he would not have been in trial. They still can't tell you what the crime was. The jury went 34 for 34 across the board in a rigged trial in zip code justice. Alvin Bragg did the ditch digging work of the Biden reelection campaign. However, is it actually helping them? Jack Posobiec.
So, Charlie, when Alvin Bragg says, I did my job, that's the first honest thing I think this guy has actually said in this entire process. Yes, he did do his job. He did his job for the far left, for the Marxists that are participating in an irregular communist revolution in our country right now. What was his job? His job was to make Trump have to wear this label like an albatross around his neck now going into the general election. Hasn't even been nominated yet. By the way, the sentencing, we haven't even talked about this yet, but the sentencing has now been scheduled for, I think, 3 days before the beginning of the Republican convention. So this is just amazing. And I want people to understand this. I want people to be very clear, and I want you to look at it directly in the eye. This is your country now. You can do something about that this year, or you can lay back and have this be the rest of our future. This is the rest of eternity for America will be like this. Or you can actually fight. And that's the end of the day. Because They want to put Donald Trump behind bars and deny him the ability to have that convention. By the way, they know this will all get appealed on, it'll all get overturned on appeal, maybe not at the direct level, but, certainly at a higher court level, but that's not the point. The point is so that they get to run around and say, and you see these little Democrats already doing it, convicted felon Donald Trump, convicted Stephen King's out there running his mouth. Stephen King, who hasn't written a good book in 40 years since the last time since Robert De Niro opened a movie, that, Donald Trump, convicted felon. And that's what Alvin Bragg's job was from the very start. His job was to deliver this verdict. That was also
all right, Charlie Kirk and the boys. We're going to continue to join them throughout the night and get their thoughts on what's going on here. There's a lot of things floating around tonight that I want to discuss if we have the opportunity about what we do here, what we do next. But I think Ben Bergquam was right on. I think it feels different tonight. I tweeted this before. Yeah. It feels different. You should feel energized. There's some hard truths to deal with. Mm-hmm. And we'll deal with those, but you should, in the end, you should feel energized that in the end, this is what matters. And this is the ultimate jury on November 5th. No matter, everything else is, they're going to argue about, state this, and he's not going to be able to pardon him. So that's a story for another day. But this is what matters. It feels different tonight. And we have to understand who we're fighting now. I think America sees what's going on. This is one of my arguments with this whole idea of all these red DAs have got to start indicting. America does not like what they're seeing. They do not like what they're seeing. And the amount of people you're saying, well, I was on the fence, but not anymore. I actually just tweeted Elon Musk, are you now ready to jump in? We'll see if he responds. Probably not.
Crazy. Crazy.
It's going to be even crazier when they sentence him. I think they go the full Monty. I really do now. I don't think they ever. I don't think they will ever reach a point where they take their foot off the gas. I just don't. And I don't think they're going to in sentencing either.
No, because now they got the first part of what they want.
You can't go this far if you're the judge, and then you just can't. And I think people are going to still be shocked by it.
I saw someone say that if the judge does sentence him to jail, that the reason will be all the contempt charges that were brought against him during the trial.
Yeah,
well, he's going to take him out, take that out on him in sentencing.
The real thing to figure out for the Trump team is how they get out of New York. How do they get this out of the New York court system and get it to the Supreme Court? That's the only thing for them to figure out. But boy, you see a lot of donations talk tonight. People I just donated to. A lot of I was on the fence. Not anymore. So I haven't pulled up the chat. If you're watching on socials, welcome on in. It's going to be a busy night. Try to spend some time on the chat as well. Make sure you like and subscribe if for whatever you're watching on. Let's quickly go in and get your thoughts here. What's wrong with my chat? Okay, here we go. Sergeant Arby, what's going on? Jeff, what's going on? Hi, Kathy. live from Studio 6B, 30 minutes past the hour on a Thursday night. Real America's Voice. I want to get to as much of just the raw emotion that's out there and some of the things I'm seeing as we can. I want to get to some of your thoughts, too, because obviously on a night like tonight, I really want to know where everybody stands. I feel like everybody's got their chin up, though, as we should. It feels different tonight. I tweeted this before. I said this before we went into the break. It feels different. It's like the definitive line in the sand has been drawn. Yes, we understood, as we clearly knew that Trump was going to be the nominee, that these things were going to be a part of this, that this was coming, that this was their goal. Whether it was Chutkin, who I always thought was going to be the tip of the spear, because everybody who talked about this case said it was garbage. And, well, it ended up that this was actually the tip of the spear. This is where they got their first. This is where they got him. And we'll see what the road here is. But realistically, I think the question tonight is, how does the president, like Mark Levin has tried to lay out the last couple nights, how does the president now get out of the New York system and get to the Supreme Court with the argument of the Bush v. Gore that Levin has brought up and spelled out? Seems like possibly the only reasonable way, given the similarities to what happened there and why the Supreme Court jumped in and why they could and should jump in here. Damon, we're now in the big leagues, I see. That's right. That's right. The lines have been drawn. The brass knuckles are out. I think everybody now realizes the brass knuckles are out. They're not coming off. The pedal to the metal will be there. The scheduling of sentencing is just happenstance. None of this is happenstance. And I'm telling you now, don't be surprised at sentencing and be aghast when this judge sentences him to jail.
4 days before the convention.
4 days before the convention. Now, whether Trump can get that date moved, whether there can be a stay, I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I heard Alan Dershowitz say that possibly that could happen. Of course, if the other side can fight for it not to happen, they want it to be 4 days before, obviously. And if they can put him in jail 4 days before, they'd love to do that too. There is no let-up in these people.
And I think when you say lines have been drawn, I'll take the opposite tack that lines have been crossed.
I think they crossed a long time ago.
But now I feel like this has gone way, it's like, oh, we're going to bring charges against you and make all this, all of it was kind of, kind of whatever.
They raided the guy's house.
But I think this really wakes people up that maybe aren't awake yet. If you're not awake yet, and this doesn't shake you loose from your plugged-in slumber, well, then stay asleep, because you're going to be useless when the chips are down. If you don't agree that we're in a police state now, again, stay asleep. We don't need you. You're not going to be helpful in the fight. If you don't think that this is police state tactics and that we live in a tyrannical dystopia of New York State, I wish I could leave today. Because if they can do this to the former president, think about what's a couple knuckleheads on Long Island, what they would do to them. Just because they don't like what we're saying. They can probably find a crime. Hey, show me the person, I'll find you the crime. That's the way they operate now. And I think this is what's been exposed. And maybe like Frederick Leathers says in the Rumble chat, hey, hopefully this is what opens up people's eyes. If you don't see this now, then you will never see it. Or you don't want to see it because you're happy being plugged into the matrix of just whatever happens, happens. I don't care as long as they don't come for me, until they do come for you. And then you're going to care. And then it'll be too late. There's a saying that says, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Democrats, liberals, I think you're going to get it now. And I think you're going to get it good and hard in ways that you probably didn't expect. Because, like Damon was saying, he was referencing people. He's seeing messages, people like, well, I was kind of on the fence, but now, you know what? This is a bridge too far. You know what I mean?
Well, you're seeing overwhelming talk about fundraising tonight. Their website went down. You're seeing a lot of Wall Street types. David Sachs is very active tonight on social media. You're seeing a lot of big donations coming in from Wall Street types to the Trump campaign tonight. You're seeing a lot of people tonight saying, I don't like this guy. I never have, but I'm voting for him now, because this this goes beyond parties. This goes beyond left, right, center. It goes beyond where you are. Even, RFK out tonight with a good statement. Or obviously, others. Where's the statement, by the way, from John Thune tonight, the Republican so-called leader? How about Mitch McConnell? How about Barrasso? How about any of these pathetic people? Nowhere. That's where they are. Nowhere. Take note tonight of the Republicans that are out there vocally making their presence felt tonight in the face of absolute tyranny in their face. Take note of who you don't hear from tonight in this party. Because at this point, if you don't understand the fight and are willing to speak on it and willing to take whatever action you can to prepare for November 5th and get behind our candidate and crawl over broken glass to vote for him, then you're completely useless at this point. It's like John Bolton tonight. Useless. Get out. We don't need to hear from John Bolton types. We need to hear from somebody who grows a set and wants to be involved in the process. We don't need to hear from Pansy, maybe we shouldn't have nominated him now, and let me go ask Larry Hogan what he thinks, and we can discuss it with Nancy Pelosi, and we'll get back to you. Get out of here. No more pathetic leaders in this party. John Thune tonight I've heard nothing from. Mitch McConnell we've heard nothing from, even mumbling. I'd take that tonight from him. We've heard from nobody. Couple people. Chip Roy, Ron DeSantis.
Byron Donalds was out there.
Byron Donalds. I'm sure I haven't seen that yet, but I'm sure the usual suspects are out there. But the usual suspects who are nowhere to be found are still nowhere to be found. This party better understand the lines that have been drawn, and they better understand what they're up against. And they better understand that the rebellion that is going to take place needs to take place in the format of an election. Nothing else. And that is November 5th. So I see a lot about, every Republican AG and a district attorney has got to start indicting. There was a time I would have agreed with that. When they went into Mar-a-Lago and this all started, I can remember talking about these things, saying, where are the Republican? At this point, what you're seeing tonight tells you the American people don't like what they're seeing.
No.
As a whole, they do not like this. They understand the gravity and the travesty that is this night, and they don't like it. They don't like it. Now, if they did like it, then let's go. But they do not like it. And the line has been drawn that there is one party that is tearing down democracy, and there's one party that is not. And there's no reason to blur those lines at this point. There's no reason to blur those lines by stooping to their level at this point. We need to have our say on November 5th and no place and nowhere else. And we need to motivate. We need to get out there. We need to talk to people. We need to use whatever platforms we have. For us, it's here every 2 hours every night, which I'll be thankful for more and more every single day as we head towards November 5th to have this 2 hours. This is why I tell you, I don't care what you think of these platforms. We have to get the message out. You have to like, you have to subscribe, you have to share, you have to get the numbers up. We have to get the message out. Because this is whether we are going to live in a country past November 5th that we even recognize in the smallest way from what it used to be, or we are going to devolve into total tyranny. Because that's the choice we're facing at this point. So that is the fight ahead of us. And that is what it's about.
Yeah, and some people might still be like, well, it's not really. No, it's been that. And, you pointed out a bunch of times, this is how they play the game. This is the way they've always played the game. And unfortunately for us, we'll try to take the high road. The Republicans, we're going to try to take the high road. We'll just, give them what they want, and they'll give us what we want. Never works that way. Anytime you're dealing with scumbag bullies, you have to deal with them on their level. You have to hit them harder than they hit you, so they realize, we can't do that. And that's going to happen in the biggest way, like Damon said, November 5th. It's going to be, I don't want to say what it's going to be, but it's going to be a pounding. I want to see a pounding of the left and their liberal policies and their ideologies. I want to see the crying. I want us to flood Long Island with the tears of liberals. That's what I want to be flooded out. I want to have to say, you know what? I got to pump my basement with all the tears from the stupid liberals who are crying because they got beat, and they got their ass beat hard. That's the way they deserve it. Because this is how you fight them. Not in the street, not with the Antifa crap that they're going to pull. Because it's coming. We know it's coming. They keep trying to say, it's the right wing, it's the Christians, it's the people that believe in God and believe in mercy and believe in forgiveness. Those are the people who are going to go nuts. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not the godless liberal Satan worshipers who touch kids all the time. No, it can't be them. Of course it's them. They just keep telling you it's not them while they do it. And a bunch of, I can't even say the word, still believe it. It's got to be the right wing. It's always the right wing. They're all so nuts. They're all so crazy. They're so unhinged. They're not unhinged. We're just based in reality. Like Bill Maher said last night. It's not that he's changed. It's just your policies are stupid. So if you still have somebody in your family who's that stupid, who's a liberal, convince them that they're stupid. Get them to open their freaking eyes and drag them out and make sure they vote. And convince them that, hey, you don't want what you think you want because they're lying to you. There is no place you can show me where communism, Marxism has worked and has done so well that people are they're trying to get into those countries. Nobody defects to China and to Russia. They defect out of it. So that's where we're headed, by the way. And by the way, China and Russia are probably scratching their heads like, wow, these guys figured it out. They're doing it better than we are, at least in New York and D.C. It's insanity.
Throw up my screen, Aaron. There's sometimes you don't need to look for the fancy signs. Sometimes you can find things in the simple things. This is Google today. Google Trends. How to donate to Trump is the search, and that's the result. And those dotted blue lines, that's today. And that's the past since February 29th. That's the chart on that search. And that's today. So again, sometimes you can find where the American people are in the simplest of ways. If you want another simple way, go to any sports betting or any betting app and look at the odds for the presidential election. Because if there's a group of people I trust more than any pollsters ever, it's the Las Vegas bookmakers on who's the favorite.
Executed it flawlessly in 2020. And we're trying to counteract that, but that's why wearing this hat in public, that's why speaking your mind in public is so important right now, because there's so much meat on the bone. So many people are not registered to vote yet. We can make a difference. This audience right now, we have tens of thousands of people watching. Everybody get out there, start registering one person a day, and that can make all the difference.
Just yesterday, I met one of my neighbors and we got him registered. Blake, your thoughts?
Well, I want to be even more emphatic. It is basically a guarantee. The loser of this fall's election will have a number of supporters who supported them, said they liked them, but just didn't vote. And the number of those people will be greater than the amount they lose this election by. This will be the case for either Trump or Biden. Who would you rather it be? I think I would rather have it be Biden who that applies to, who has, he could have made it if his supporters turned out, but they just didn't. But instead, like you see this all the time. You'll see these people who will say, I like Trump, but I'm not going to bother voting because they're just going to rig it. Those are people who want to psychologically, they've psychologically already lost. They think that they can somehow win by not bothering to try, and by not bothering to try, this shows that they aren't letting the regime control them or emotionally manipulate them. Here's what I would say. If the Democrats could just rig the entire thing from top to bottom, they actually wouldn't need to bother throwing Trump in jail. Because, well, why bother? Why make everyone angry? Why put everything at risk when they can just rig the whole thing anyway? They did this because they think they can lose. They think throwing Trump in jail will somehow help them this fall. And it is our job to make sure that they are incorrect, that this backfires, that this blows up in their face. But you only do that by actually going out to vote and making sure the people you know vote, and making sure the ones who are waffling and on the fence and indecisive or just they aren't good at following through on things, by making sure that they vote. Make sure that they actually become a piece of paper that goes into the box and counts for 1 point in the giant high score battle that is a United States election.
Well said. And look, we're about to re-welcome Real America's Voice here, but it comes down to agency. It comes down to your action. What are you going to do? Donating helps a lot. Be part of the Clipboard Army and get involved at tpaction.com. They are taking your country from you, and they already have. And when you see Donald Trump guilty on all 34 counts, that is a gut punch to the Republic. A gut punch to you, to our founding fathers, to the sacrifices that many of you have given to this country. We do not have the best fighting force on the planet to go die and to go risk their lives for this nonsense. Hello, everybody on Real America's Voice as well. We are now joining and combining forces. We are going through the news of the day. Donald Trump guilty on all 34 felony charges. I want to play a couple pieces of tape here, but I want to say you guys can email us your thoughts, freedom@charliekirk.com. And I have a question for the audience here. Does this make you more likely to support Trump? Does this make you, and if the answer is yes, then you must also say, what is my plan of action? What is my to-do list? If every person in this audience said, I am mad as heck and I can't take it anymore, then you have to go find one new voter. You have to go find 2 new voters. Because as Blake said, the low propensity aspect of what is happening here will determine the 2024 election. This country will be decided, will be saved, or it will be ruined based on how we act and what we do every single day from here on out. That's why we are doing the Detroit, Michigan event, our Turning Point Action People's Conference at tpaction.com. And so I want to go through some of the pieces of tape here. I think it's very, very important. And let's play this right here. Very, very critical. And we're starting to see these unhinged lunatics. Let's go here. Let's go to cut 157.
Today, when I was watching Donald Trump's face as the verdict was read, and I was watching as the jury filed out in front of him, I was struck by how not a single one of them, from my vantage point, looked at his face. They either looked straight ahead or they looked down as they passed by him. I never saw a juror look directly in his eyes. And you have to imagine now what those jurors have to wonder what they must be feeling. The weight of getting up and knowing that you have to make this decision alone, how heavy that must have been to get out of bed and to understand that a decision that you make could change the course of American history. Who knows how it's going to affect the election, but a decision you make will have some effect.
Direct election interference is the effect that it does have. And so today, as we say, this was an attempted judicial and legal assassination. Some of you in the audience remember where you were when you heard the news that they killed JFK. You remember where you were on 9/11. This is an equally as significant day. You will remember the day. You will remember what you were doing when you heard the news, because it has never happened before in American history. And you know what the crime truly is? The crime is that Donald Trump is a class traitor. Donald Trump is a billionaire who did not play ball. He's a billionaire that did not go along with the neoliberal agenda, who defected from what he was supposed to do and instead went to go fight for the everyday American. I want to play another piece of tape here, but first I want to throw it back to Jack. Before I do, in the audience, you guys can email us your thoughts, freedom@charliekirk.com, and we want to hear from you guys directly because the audience is fired up, and you should be. Jack, what is the true crime that Donald Trump committed? It's not documents. No. It's something much more serious. Donald Trump is a class traitor, and Donald Trump has decided to challenge the bipartisan uniparty kingdom of Washington, D.C., and they want to put him on show trial, and they want him dead because of it. Jack Posobiec.
I'd like to, I'll paraphrase Dave Chappelle, what he said on SNL, because I think it really puts it best. What Donald Trump did, that's his greatest and most unforgivable sin to the ruling class in this country, is that he left the ruling class and he got up on a stage and he got up in front of a microphone and he went to the regular people of America, the people of middle America, the people of the South, the people who are not the bi-coastal elite, and he said to them, you know something? Every single thing you think that's rigged about our system is exactly correct. In fact, it's actually worse. And this is the convincer, because they said, and he said, you know how I know it? Because I was one of the guys in part of the system. I was part of the system too. I was part of this. I was part of the wheeling and dealing, but now I'm going to fight for you against that system. And we saw this again and again. Look, he took down, which dynasty did he take down first? It wasn't the Clintons. Everybody thinks that. It's not true. It was the Bushes. He goes after the Bushes, and then he goes after the Clintons. And it's to go beyond surface level, and it's beyond the scope of what we're talking about tonight. But you have to understand the power infrastructure that he took on in this country that's represented the Bushes and the oil money and the military industrial complex, the Clintons and their New York finance and the Northeastern, the old money, the blue blood money. He took on all of that and all of those systems, and he showed he could win. And that's why, by the way, and just before we go to the next clip, I think it bears a lot of importance. This, I think it was a PBS Marist poll that came out today, but it was taken last week, and it said 67% of voters say a guilty verdict in this case would not affect their vote, with 15% of respondents saying they would even be more likely to vote for Trump if he's convicted. 17% said they'd be less likely. So you've got a real situation here where you can see it's galvanizing support among a certain amount of people, and for another amount of people, it isn't really having any net effect on the election to begin with. And that's because, Charlie, quite frankly, I think going into this, people assumed Trump would be found guilty for different reasons, right? The liberals assumed he would be found guilty because they always think he's guilty. It was baked in. And conservatives saw it as the show trial. You're not going to see a big difference.
Hold on, one sec. Andrew, I want to throw to you in a sec, but one sec. It's very important that Donald Trump got more popular as the trial went on. This was baked in. This is New York. This wasn't a trial in New Orleans. This wasn't a trial in Jackson, Mississippi. This is New York City, one of the most liberal cities on the planet. So let's be very clear about this. This was baked in. And so I want to ask two things very quickly. And I want to ask the audience this. freedom@charliekirk.com. You can email me directly. If they start to see that Donald Trump gets more popular after this, what are they going to do next? Well, Newt Gingrich alluded yesterday that they're going to go to dramatic measures. And I've said this before, that it's troubling to me that this regime has their back up against the wall. Why? You're about to see the most desperate measures of a ruling class that we have seen in our lifetime. Because if this lawfare doesn't work and he raises more money and he gets more popular, play cut 166.
How minuscule his crowd was in Philly today? It's like nobody wants to show up.
Well, look, you think the average American is stupid? I mean, you look at this doddering guy who clearly is only half the time in charge of what he's doing. You look at his vice president, who may be cognitively fine, but she's just goofy. And you say to yourself, what is it I'm supposed to get excited by? And then you look at Bidenflation, which is every American experiences every day, every time you go to the grocery store. Every American. So I don't care how many ads the Biden team runs. They're trying to convince the rest of us that the things aren't as bad as we know they are because we're feeling in our pocketbooks. When you have to, if you're a Democrat and you have to go to your base this hard, you are really on the edge of collapse. If you were a comparable deal would be if a Republican had to try to shore up West Virginia. And I think what you're going to see in the next few months and it really worries me, frankly, that you're going to see a desperation when they come to realize nothing they're doing is going to work, and they're confronted with the likelihood that Trump's not just going to win, he's going to win big, he's going to take in the Senate and the House. And I think all of us ought to keep Donald Trump in our prayers, because I think these people are desperate, and I think they're dangerous.
I don't disagree. Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich.
Desperate and dangerous. What are they going to try next? In some ways, you almost want this election to be looking closer than it is, because they might try something dramatic. Andrew, there is an outpouring of support right now. I want to go through this. Sean McGuire donated $300,000 to the Trump campaign. Lee Zeldin just secured an $800,000 donation for Trump's joint fundraising committee. Tim Pool, I have just donated the maximum to Donald Trump. Tucker Carlson says, import the third world, become the third world. We just saw this won't stop Trump. He'll win the election if they don't kill him first, and they're going to try. Megyn Kelly, guilty on all counts, the country should be disgraced. Scott Adams, I just donated to Trump. The donation page crashed, by the way, crashed multiple times. Tristan Tate, Trump donation page, quote, a question mark link. Pierce Morgan, Trump's donation websites are crashing. My guess is the verdict will propel him back into the White House. And also, we talked about this, Andrew. We had a great day with our ballot chasing program today. Talk about this.
Yeah, so add this to the list. Jack Posobiec announced on this show he max donated. And then
all right,
this list,
we're live on the socials.
We're in the break. We're on socials.
Yep.
Took a little bit of Charlie Kirk there. We're going to take it back for a little bit of hour two. We may revisit Charlie in a little bit before they end. I think they're ending at 9:30 anyways. We'll try to get to some of your comments. Do you have the chat up there?
Yeah, I got the chat up. I mean, I'm just jumping around from chat to chat right now, so it's tough.
Assuming I know where everybody feels.
People are upset. They want to boycott New York, like Binky X23 in the YouTube chat. Hey, I want to leave New York at this point. I don't feel safe here. I mean, what we saw today out of New York is disgusting. Just completely disgusting.
Seeing a lot of these. I don't know who this guy is, Chandler Crump. I just made the first political donation in my entire life. Those that want to destroy this country leave me absolutely no choice. Trump 2024. It's all over.
Well, thing is,
I don't know how much weight you can put in it, because it's just kind of living in our world here. Although a lot of these people probably are not living in our world. They're probably not. They're probably weren't really sure what they wanted to do. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm a kind of an independent. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm seeing a lot of that. We all know what Jeffrey Toobin's doing right now. That's a good one.
Yeah, he's tubing.
That's a good one right there.
He's definitely tubing.
We have another spammer on Rumble.
All right, I'll go in.
You should really make me a mod.
Yeah.
You should make a friend a mod.
How can I do that?
I don't know.
Just give you the login.
You're the admin.
I don't even know how to. I don't even know. What the hell do I know?
Assuming you can assign it somewhere in your settings.
Okay. Block forever.
Super Cymatic on the Rumble chat says he bets Slick Rick's Bird Kramer is squawking rigged jury, rigged trial. If Slick were here, he'd appreciate that. He's not here.
Account options.
He had
chat settings.
He had a huge event that he's vice president of, so he had to go do that. So yeah, talk about dictators. Not only is he a president for one thing, he's a vice president of another thing. This guy's never getting out of office.
Hour 2, live from Studio 6B. I don't know, I have no idea. Live from Studio 6B, Hour 2 on a Thursday night, May 30th. Real America's Voice. Glad you're in. Rick Delgado sitting shotgun tonight with me. Slick Rick's off in his, I don't know what he's doing.
He's doing an event.
Maybe with his bird on his shoulder.
Yeah, he's got a big event tonight. He's a vice president.
Trump got screwed.
Rig trial.
Trump got screwed. Rig trial. Trump got screwed. Yeah, he's doing something. Aaron and Friend holding it down. Harry on the Highway. David Zier, Andrew Giuliani, and Ben Bergquam, all in, obviously, New York City. Ben joined us in Hour 1. Andrew and David did as well. We want to thank them for joining us. We've been dipping in and out of Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec, and I don't know the other two gentlemen with him. I think they're from Charlie's team. They're talking about the Trump verdict as well. We may rejoin them in the second segment since Slick's not here and we won't do sports tonight. Maybe we'll rejoin them. I don't know. There's nothing else to talk about, right? Other than this. And it's just that feeling of when you heard the jury was back, you just, it was almost like, okay, here we go.
Right.
We're going to get the verdict now that they had 4 weeks ago. I mean, let's be real here. And you knew when it came back quick that it probably wasn't going to be a good look. Although you held out the hope that they came back and said this whole thing's a joke.
Right.
But then you remember where we are and under the circumstances that we are. And, I said this yesterday, and I mean, I'm sure people have talked about it, and I don't know what the answer is. But what is well, maybe now that there's guilty, I guess the judges looked at it as, what a fine job he did. It's like, what's his name? Tubing himself on MSNBC yesterday, Andrew 9-0 Weissman. 9-0 overturned to the Supreme Court. That would be Andrew Weissman. Almost wetting himself on the set on how much he loves the judge. And I guess today, I'm sure they're probably having an orgy over there. I don't know if that's the right word, but over there on the MSNBC set and over at CNN, I'm sure, just wetting themselves with pure joy tonight. But when you look at this judge and you look at what he did here and how, and it's one thing to say, he put his thumb on the scale. I mean, this guy not only put his thumb on the scale, he jumped on the scale, sat on the scale, and wouldn't get off this damn scale. He did more than just put his thumb on the scale. He damn well directed the whole thing right into where the prosecution wanted. I mean, it was like they worked as one hand, just kind of slightly separated by space.
It's almost. It kind of reminds me of that. What do you call it? The Chris Wallace debate, where it was Chris Wallace and Joe Biden against Donald Trump, where every time Joe Biden got in trouble, Chris Wallace would jump in and try and save him. That's what we're dealing with. And what I found interesting too, watching some of the news networks covering this after the verdict was read, was Jonathan Turley, the constitutional attorney. I guess he's a professor at George Washington. He said he was in the courtroom, and of course, he was like, "This is." He was dumbfounded that this case was even brought to begin with. But he said the one thing that stuck out in his head was how everybody was in the courtroom was tense, and he said Donald Trump was the most relaxed person he's ever seen in a courtroom. He goes, I don't understand this guy. I don't know how he does it. But it kind of goes back to he kind of knew what the outcome was. So why be nervous? Why sit there and be like, I think this is going to happen. He knew it was going to happen. He knew it was baked in. He knew where he was. He knew what to expect. So that's why I see this as like I said, I'm an eternal optimist. He's already planned for this. Though we don't know what that plan is and what that might look like and how it's going to unfold, I feel like he's already got a handle on exactly what he wants to do next and how he wants to treat this.
You said that before. You said something about the road. We're just starting down the road. So
we're just starting down this road.
What is the road? When you say that, like outline what the road looks like.
Now,
what do you mean?
Now I feel like there is a clear picture for people who may not, I'm not sure, like all these people saying, I wasn't sure before, but now I am. I feel like now this could be the wake-up call. It wakes up maybe another 10% of the people who go, wait, what the hell just happened here? This is not right. They saw, even on CNN and MSNBC, the legal analysts going, there's a lot of weak parts in this case. I don't see them, questioning everything about this case. And for it to come back 34-0, and then you see, even on the MSNBCs and the CNNs, the reporters going, there's 54 pages of notes here that this judge read, and he doesn't let them take it in. It's almost like they're saying, look, hey, by the way, I guess we agree that this is pretty freaking rigged, but this is the way it is. The crime is he's Trump. That's his crime. And he kicked their ass, and he's continuing to kick their ass, and they hate their ass getting kicked, especially in public. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
And again, I feel like this is one of those moments where it's like, we have the opportunity now. Now we can flip these people that are like, well, that's kind of crazy. They're going to look at everybody knows. Everybody knows.
What people like that need to realize is they're not going to stop at Trump.
Right.
You're next. You're next. That's what people on the fence need to realize. Is this doesn't stop it with him. Like he says, they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in the way. And they're trying to make him not in the way.
Yeah. They already go after his attorneys for representing him. Think about that. If you get an attorney that they don't like, they will not only go after you, but your attorney, because they don't like the fact that you're an attorney trying to represent this person. They're doing that. They're going after any surrogates that might have something positive to say. I'm sure they're starting to investigate anybody who's starting to donate, who's publicly donating. I'm sure Byron Donalds is under investigation. I'm sure Matt Gaetz is I'm sure all these people are under investigation. Tucker Carlson had a great thing a couple weeks ago about the left coming after him, saying, "Oh well, he's a spy for Russia," so they could basically give the FBI it's the wraparound smear, where if enough people write about it in the media, then the FBI goes, "Look, everybody's writing about it. There must be something here. Now we can open an investigation and see what's going on." So
I'll tell you the other thing to keep in mind.
It's scary stuff.
And I was thinking about during Kavanaugh's hearings and what he went through and some of the outrage then about what was going on then. And you think about the Supreme Court and you think about why the left, that we've continually pointed out, besides trying to get 2 new senators from states like D.C. and Puerto Rico, why the left is so focused and has their crosshairs directly aimed at the Supreme Court. It is for situations like what could be this one. Because this could very well, and I don't know that it will. Levin makes the case on how we could how the Trump team can try to get it there. This could very well ending at the doorstep of the Supreme Court. And so when you wonder why Chuck Schumer stands outside the Supreme Court and says, "Justice Gorsuch, Justice Kavanaugh, you'll feel the wrath," and whatever the hell he said that day, and why they're squarely in their crosshairs, why they're constantly talking about going after the court, packing the court, what they'll do if he gets reelected. I had a crazy town today. I don't think I'm going to play it. Not in the mood. It's probably not the right time to play it. Talking about the Supreme Court today. He went after him today. Supreme Court tried to stop me from forgiving college debt. They prevented me, but they didn't stop me. And he says, "You wait. If I get reelected, we'll get Trump's guys out of there and get some real progressives in there. We need to get real progressives on the court." Just imagine what this country looks like with a bunch of Judge Merchants on the Supreme Court. Just think about what this country... one of the things we said about Trump in his 4 years was that he really reshaped the judiciary. Unfortunately, now, Biden's done about the same in reshaping it. For the worse, obviously. And the radicals that he continues to find, based on what skin color they are, or what sexual preference they want to take that day to put them on, and not anything to do with what kind of judge they would be or whether they believe in the Constitution or not.
Or they can identify what a woman is. How can you identify if a woman committed a crime if you don't know what a woman is?
So you talk about that, and you wonder why the Supreme Court is always in there on the front doorstep of their, This is why, because they want to be able to control these kind of situations. Imagine the position Trump would be in if this court was, I mean, in the we always joke that we're always two conservative justices away from a conservative court. Even the makeup now's you don't have that much confidence in.
Yeah.
But just think about what it would look like if, what it could look like under 8 years of Democrat rule and a couple retirees or, God forbid, anything else. And he has to replace. I mean, we don't have a country. We don't have a country left. We're already in a post-constitutional America right now as we sit here today. This is not a constitutional republic. I don't know what we think we're living under. It's not a republic. If it was yesterday, it's certainly not today. And you think about the turn it could take come November 6th if things don't go the way they need to go. And what this country would look like in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I shudder the thought.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to even we would never think that we got here. I think we're reacting this way too because we're still kind of dumbfounded. Like, are we really seeing what we're seeing? Is this really happening? Because I feel like that's where I'm at right now. Is like, is this still really happening? I mean, it boggles your mind that something like this could be happening right in front of us, and it almost makes you feel powerless because of what we've grown up and what we've learned over the years, and how whatever we've learned through our lifetime, and to get this, we always had the idea that, well, if we go to court and I'm innocent, they're going to find me innocent. We're seeing that that's no longer the case here in this country. Not with liberals and Democrats and progressives in charge. No, if you don't bend the knee, kiss the ring, and fall in front of them to be part of that caste system, then you will pay a price. That's the game they play. And they've been telling us for decades, this is what they want. They're finally getting it. This could be our last chance, because November 6th, we could be looking at a completely different country.
Oh, look who's out tonight 22 minutes ago. Bro, these charges never should have been brought in the first place. I expect the conviction to be overturned on appeal.
Oh, the frozen turtle finally defrosted enough to have somebody type something for him?
John Bolton today. Today's verdict is a fire bell in the night. The Republican Party now has one last chance to change course and not nominate a convicted felon for president. This is John Bolton. J.D. Vance says, hey, John Bolton finally encounters a war he doesn't want to fight. There you go.
Touche.
I won't read you my response to him because I can't read it on the air. You could go look at it if you want.
Oh, is that who you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Has some words that rhyme with duck in it.
That's why you wanted to know how to spell that.
Pull up the socials.
Luka Doncic is beating the Wolves 20-18.
Luka's got 20 himself? What's the overall score?
27-18.
He's got 20 of their 27? Holy cow.
Oh, wait. This was about 10 minutes ago.
Guess he doesn't want to go back to Dallas.
I guess he doesn't want. I guess he wants to go to the finals.
You have a Birch Gold read.
Okay. All right, I'm in the chat here. What's going on? What's going on in the chat? YouTube X, Rumble, Kick.
Mavericks up by 20.
X. Yeah, Mavericks are pissed off. They're not going to.
46-20.
They said, we let you get one. That's enough.
Only 4 minutes into the second quarter.
Amy says, Damon, you are amazing. Well, thank you, Amy. I don't know about that, but. Hey, Big D. Hello, Chris Erickson. How are you? Rebecca? Okay, Big D, let's hear it. Let's hear what? You've been hearing it all night.
Well, I think they want to know what you wrote.
Oh, I told John Bolton to go fuck himself. That's what I told him. I said, go fuck off. We're sick of people like you in the party. We don't need you here, you pansy-ass loser.
Now, did you put the comma after?
Yes, I did.
Good.
I said, go fuck yourself, comma, loser. Thank you for telling me how that was supposed to be.
Yeah, no problem.
Pardon my language to everybody, by the way, but that's what I said.
Yes. Commas are important. Punctuation. Another thing they should be teaching the kids in school
what a
these days.
jerk comes out tonight with that. Oh, last resort.
He's a douchebag.
What a dick. I like this. Well,
what?
The audience is getting a little more of the normal conversation around here. It's amazing we haven't slipped up on air. That's how good we are at this because we know this is.
I haven't slipped up recently.
Yeah, right, Fran. Yeah.
It's just
I don't know what you're talking about. What video clip?
Because a night like tonight, if we weren't on a network, man, I would be letting it fly. That's a good point, Damon. We're past the point of worrying about language. Yeah, I hear you. We love raw, Damon. No, I'm not going to. Come on.
Fuck it. Go for it. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Hey, John Bolton, suck a bag of dicks. How about that, jackass?
Oh, we're going to rethink it. We're going to take them out. What time is it? 17 past the hour. I got to do a read here. But to do the read, I actually have to find the read. So I'm going to just kill some time while I do that. Because if you thought I was prepared, well, no, I was cursing at John Bolton in the commercial break.
I think it's safe for Paul to come back.
Good thing I gave you that warning.
Yeah, thank you. But if let's talk to you about your savings. If your savings can weather an economic storm, well, then you're unlike most because most of us, it can't. Think about what we've all put away for the future. Well, Joe Biden's inflation is rendering our cash and our purchasing power pretty much worthless. Real estate could crash any day now, like back in 2008. Economies like ours, built on a mountain of debt, can fall like a house of cards. Speaking of real estate, how about that pending home sales number this morning? Yeah, not too good. But check them out. Birch Gold. Text America to 989898. Text America to 989898. And check out our friends at Birch Gold. All right, Aaron, let's go back to Charlie Kirk. I believe Steve Bannon is with Charlie. Let's take that.
So I expect very good things out of our audience and our people. And I think it's tonight, immerse yourself in Michael Cohen, taking a victory lap on MSNBC and being held up as an American hero. And you should embrace that and immerse yourself in it. And then let's go to work tomorrow morning.
Going to work is the most important thing, and understanding why they hate him. And Steve, you are the best at this. What is Donald Trump's true crime? It's not some documents thing. No, Donald Trump is a class traitor. Donald Trump is an ideological traitor because he challenged, as you would say, the easy money regime, the internationalist adventurous wars. So, Steve, what is Donald Trump's actual crime here? It's not documents. What is it?
No, he's a class traitor of the neoliberal neocons and the progressive left, the globalist in New York City and Manhattan, that he went in first as a guy from Queens and upended the apple cart about how you actually get buildings made, and then as a media figure and a guy who came back from some pretty tough times in the real estate market, and then he became a class traitor. He was an insider. They all said when he first started running, this was all to get a better deal on The Apprentice. You remember back then, Charlie, we were getting beat up every day for being Trump supporters. And here we are. He's a class traitor. He has allowed working class people. He has allowed the people at Wildwood, New Jersey, on the Bodega Run in South Bronx, when he went to the Charlotte, the Coca-Cola 600. He's allowed those four groups to come together and actually be in the room and take control of this country once again. He's a traitor to those people, and he must be destroyed. He must be destroyed. The movement around him must be destroyed. So, hey, for me, I think it's great. It's a time for testing. Here's what I know. We cannot lose if we don't quit. If we keep grinding and grinding and grinding, they can't beat us. And right now you see, and I think the lawyer you just had on is terrific, they're going to try to throw Trump in jail for a couple of years. They obviously set the sentencing for right before the Republican convention. You can already see the John Boltons of the world and a lot of the donors and a lot of the runners, already they're trying to force, the big event here is going to be trying to force Nikki Haley on the ticket as his prime minister and saying they're going to need the stability of Nikki Haley. So we got a lot of fights, and tomorrow morning I think people got to be very focused and just grind this. This is going to be voter registration. This is going to be, all the ballot chasing you're talking about, Charlie, all the get out the vote, people signing up as election judges, election officials. We're going to grind this one out. But you look at the polls, I think more of the nation is going to come to our side, but you have to be a force multiplier to explain exactly what went on here and why they need to take Trump down. I actually think it's a very sad day for America, but in one regard, it's a very good day. It's like the 2020 steal. It puts everything on the table, and everything's very clear now. There's no middle ground here. It's either our way to save this constitutional republic and to hand on to future generations what was bequeathed to us, or are you going to live in a neo-Marxist, Stalinist type of country? You see how they roll, and it can't be clearer. So I think in regards, it's actually good because it clarifies.
It clarifies. I want to throw to Jack here, by the way, in the audience. Join Steve Bannon. Join Donald Trump. Join Ben Carson. Join the biggest people in the movement in Detroit, Michigan, 2 weeks from now, tpaction.com/peoples. We're doing all of our shows. Steve is doing his show. We're doing our show. A show of force for Donald Trump. Show up in major numbers here. Jack, you have some thoughts.
Yeah, Steve, when we put together this book on a communist revolution, people said, why are you putting together something like this? And I said, because that's what we're living through. And there were times where people, even pushed back on that. And then all of a sudden, I've experienced this, Charlie's experienced this so far in the last 24 hours or so, and I wanted to see if you'd experienced this as well, that a lot of the GOP consultant class types and the fundraiser types and the Hill apparatchik types are texting me saying, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe that this happened. I'm so stunned. I never believed they would actually find him guilty. Steve, why are there so many people in the professional Republican class that didn't see this coming?
Because they're not engaged. They're not engaged at all. They're at a very superficial level. This is when you control opposition, you don't have to be down in the trenches. Anybody that spent a second on this knew this day was coming. And they knew there were going to be 34 charges, and they knew exactly how they were going to spin it. They knew how Rachel Maddow was going to do it. They knew how Andrew Weissman was going to do it. They knew how Tish James was going to do it, all the way from Jamie Raskin to Arizona to Michigan to Georgia, to what's happening in South Florida, to what's happening on the Supreme Court now. If you're in this fight, it's very obvious what happened. It's also obvious how we get out of here. The people that text you today, I can't believe this happened, they don't matter. All they are is a bunch of hangers-on, okay? All they are is hangers-on. They're not in this fight with any passion. They're not in this fight with any courage. They're not in this fight with any spirit or any soul. And to hell with them. All they're going to do now is run around and whine and cry and say, you need the Nikki Haley's work. We don't need any of those people. They're not going to have an option not to vote for Trump, because they're not going to vote for the other side means they wouldn't get a job at all. If the Republican Party listens up here, we got a way to victory. And that way to victory is pure MAGA. This is going to take a fight, and only MAGA fights. Only MAGA's got the guts, the backbone, right, the BDE, to get this done. And right now it's going to be a time of testing. And these rhinos are going to get out of the way, hold our beer, let us get it done, because I'm going to tell you, their pressure to basically de-Trumpify the second term, to get more consultants around him, to get more pollsters around him, to let the McCarthys come back, and to get Nikki Haley on the ticket as prime minister is going to be overwhelming. That's why I think the People's Convention next week, it will be historic, just given the timing, because there's going to be a ton of throwdowns there. Right now, we got to fight against the neoliberal neocons, as we also have to go against these globalist elitists that are trying to steal our country. And look, it's a fight I like. I look at the math. I like who's on our side of the football, and I know we can win. If we don't quit, we're going to win.
Steve,
that's
what do you
exactly
think?
Right. So Jack, just really quick, I just want to reiterate, and then I'll throw it, Jack. Get your tickets to the People's Convention, tpaction.com/peoples. Back to you, Jack.
Steve, what do you think the next move for Trump should be? Should he lay low? Should he do another rally? We know there's this press conference tomorrow, but there's a couple of weeks between now and the People's Convention. What do you think his next move should be from a political campaign standpoint?
I think he's got to go out. I would like to see a press conference tonight, but he's going to do it tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We'll obviously be covering that live. I think he's got to come out, make his case, and say that he is more focused than ever. Talk about what Charlie just talked about, the political assassination, why this is a persecution, make that case. And then I think before a rally, I think he's got to sit down with his campaign and the RNC. I'll be brutally frank. I don't see a campaign. I don't see a campaign in the States. I really don't see a campaign at the campaign. What I see is people like Gavin Wax and Dish Bureau coming up with these amazing events in the New York City area. What do you think I think he has to do is, what is RNC? He has to have a very serious strategy meeting. And I think it ought to be tomorrow afternoon, right? And say, okay, exactly, walk me through in detail where we stand at the state levels. And I want to know where we stand on voter registration. I want to know where we stand on get out the vote. I want to know where we stand with ballot chasing. I want to know, but specifically district by district, in these 25 major districts, where do we stand with their mail-in ballots? Where do we stand with election officials? Where do we stand with lawsuits? Where do we stand with all this? And it ought to be the RNC and his campaign. It's time to get focused now. I mean, we have to be maniacally focused. There is not a minute to waste between now and then. He does that, and then I think you do some rallies, but I also think you ought to do some town halls, right? And I don't think we need to have a lot of people in the streets. I don't think, people call me tonight, we ought to have bus tours. That stuff's fine. People are motivated enough. And if they're not motivated by this, they're not going to be motivated. We need serious people, what you guys have been doing at Turning Point USA, and I hope we hash this out next week at the People's Convention. That's why I think it's so timely and the workshops are timely. It is now whoever works the hardest, whoever is the most focused, whoever is relentless and will not give up is who's going to win in November. And right now, I think we have the passionate people. I know my phone's blowing up from people that want to volunteer, that people want to get to work. It's not about writing checks. The money is not going to win this. Elbow grease and manpower and spirit's going to win it. So I think we just channel all that energy, channel all that anxiety, channel all that despair, and just channel it into work. If we don't quit, we use our agency, and we're action, we're going to win this thing.
Final thoughts here, Steve. This is an unusual question, but I think it's important. I think this will be a net positive if we allow it to be one. What are major errors that could be done? The uniparty trying to weaken our movement, infiltration. Give us a threat analysis here of things we should be looking out on the horizon of how we could fumble this, because this very well is trending as if it's going to be a positive. Final thoughts, Steve.
It could be very much. Number one, for ourselves, for MAGA, for the posse, for the deplorables. Don't get off key. This is all still. We knew this day was coming. What Jack Posobiec said. This does not surprise us. We are not shocked. We are not sitting there in the fetal position or sucking on a thumb. We knew this was going to happen. They got three things. They have lawfare, they have the big steal, and they have wag the dog. That's the three. They can't win any other way. They can't win in any legitimate process, okay? So they have to have an illegitimate process. That's what they'll do. It's either lawfare, it's the steal, or wag. They have some sort of October surprise or wag the dog. If we are relentless in all three of those verticals of not letting it happen, they can't beat us. Now, unfortunately, we do have a problem, a specter, and that's the neoliberal neocons that President Trump just defeated, right? And they are going to come back. Nikki, there's no coincidences. Nikki Haley wasn't in Israel the last couple of days signing bombs, right, to drop on Hamas, and her visit was like a state visit, okay? The timing of that from them was impeccable. Also today in Axios, you look, but they have 6 or 7 billionaires are now signing up. All these billionaires are all of a sudden in love with Trump. Well, what they're really in love with, they're really going to be in love with getting a neoliberal neocon on the ticket as his VP, saying you need to do that to bring people together. And that is, and she is going to try to be the prime minister of the second term. So we have to be on guard with that and say that's not going to happen. It will not happen. She is unacceptable in every aspect, and every neoliberal neocon is also, and we need full MAGA on that ticket. So those are the two things, and just channel your energy and don't chase rabbits. Right now we need maniacal focus, and that focus is on blocking and tackling. No 30-second spot. No TV buy. No magical kind of internet, apparatus or internet content no memes, right, are going to change this. This is going to be back to basics. This is going to get at your base and also bring all those people that right now are just going through their own beginning of their great awakening. And that is nothing but old-fashioned get out the vote, chase ballots, make sure we have election officials there, get in everybody's face about these mail-in ballots, make sure everybody's on top of it, and the lawyers get lawyers signed up. And finally, let's stop kidding ourselves. Look at these states. Look at Arizona. Look at Nevada. Look at Georgia. Look at Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. What is going on? Who's responsible? What's going to happen? We don't need thousands of rallies. What we need now is good old-fashioned work. If we do not quit and we execute on that, and we can execute on it, we're going to win, and we're going to win big.
Steve, thank you I know you got to run here, and you got a big show tomorrow on War Room, and we're going to be doing this People's Convention here, and it requires public displays of support and using our agency. This is one of the most important things happening in the country right now, and that's why we're rallying in downtown Detroit. And Steve, we want Detroit to be Bronx 2.0, where we have a ton of blacks and Hispanics that are coming to the event, black patriots and black Americans that are coming. It's going to be really great, Steve. So thanks for your leadership, Steve, and thanks for your time. See you tomorrow.
The timing couldn't be more perfect. If we use the People's Convention as a springboard, then we're going to win this, and we got to use it as a springboard. So, Charlie, thank you and all the team for setting it up. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll pass the baton off to you guys at noon. Jack, you at 2, and we're back at 5. See you guys tomorrow.
Love it. Thanks, Steve. And I just want to reiterate that it is the People's Convention. This is the rallying point over the summer. All right,
there you go. Steve Bannon on with Charlie Kirk. And while I agree with 99.9999% of what Steve says, I don't know if I'm sure he knows this and he doesn't want to. The problem with the Nikki Haley talk is it's not helpful when the president gets ahead of us and says, oh, no, she's going to be on the team. He's already said that. Well, she's going to be on the team in some way. No, I mean, it's like some of these endorsements I continue to see. We're focused on him tonight, rightly so. But this party, the bigger problem with this party moving forward, even if President Trump wins in November, is that we cannot continue to get elected and endorse every rhino primary candidate in the Republican Party over real conservatives. Every Tuesday, right now we have primaries. And so far in all these primaries, every rhino incumbent continues to win. There's very few places we can look at and say, okay, picked up a good seat. It just doesn't happen. And then these are the people who go, and then these are the people who end up putting out statements tonight like Mitch McConnell that we just shake our head at. Mitch McConnell tonight don't kid yourself. Mitch McConnell tonight is extremely satisfied with what happened today in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely. That's why his 8-word pathetic statement that he put out is wipe my you-know-what with it, because that's about what it means. He is extremely happy tonight. All of these guys at the top of the Senate, Thune, Barrasso, McConnell, you can go down the list. You know why you haven't heard from him tonight, or you heard some pathetic 2 sentences like you heard from Marblemouth? It's because they're fine with what happened today. They're John Bolton with today. Yeah, maybe we need to replace them. They're all fine with that. That's the problem. So tonight's not a night to gripe with what I don't agree with President Trump with, because it's not the night to do that. But while he talks about Nikki Haley, and I agree with him on Nikki Haley, and I agree with him on all these rhinos, and I agree with him on I don't see a campaign. We talked about this 4 weeks ago. What's going on in these states? What's going on with these reports that there's no ground game? What's with the reports that there's no field offices? We just think that they're just going to show up? So he's absolutely right on all of that. But you can't drain the swamp if you have your foot on top of the drain. And you endorse every one of these rhinos who don't even support what you do. He supports this guy Gonzalez down in Texas who just won narrowly. The guy, He came out for gun confiscation after the Uvalde shooting. He's come out against almost everything Trump stands for, policy-wise. He endorses them, and the guy wins. So this is another conversation for another day, but it's part of the problem, a big part of it. So, what'd you think of Bannon?
I thought he was great. He seems to, I mean, talk about an inside. He almost sounds like he is involved inside.
Of course he is.
But I mean, like on an everyday, and it's tough. Yes. It would be impossible for someone like, you would think it'd be impossible for someone like him to be involved in the everyday, goings on of a campaign, but he sounds like he is. Meanwhile, he's hosting 2 shows on this network. So that's why I feel like,
he's 24/7, baby.
Right, he's 24/7.
24/7. Living it.
And he probably does, the president probably takes his phone call on the first ring kind of thing. And he's probably it sounds like he's got some, I don't know, I guess pull.
For sure. He's got the president's ear.
I know he's got his ear, but is it enough to make things happen? I think he does. It seems like he does. Because this is one of those down and dirty fights that we're seeing that the Republicans never want to have. They don't want to do that. That's why you have the Mitch McConnells of the world.
Asa Hutchinsons of the world, by the way. Want to hear his statement tonight?
Sure.
It's not easy. It's not easy to see a former president and the presumptive GOP nominee convicted of felony crimes, but the jury verdict should be respected. An appeal is in order. But let's not diminish the significance of this verdict. From me, Governor Asa Hutchinson.
Didn't he run for president?
I can't suck enough.
Didn't he get like -2 support?
So sick of people like this in this party.
And those are the people that they say they're Republicans, but they're not. They're really Democrats. We know they are. They've been exposed. That's part of this process, I think, is exposing these losers for who they are. The John Boltons of the world, the Mitch McConnells, the Asa Hutchinsons, people that, you'd probably shake their hand and then you have to wipe your hand down because it's like all gamey and stuff. If it like a dead fish. This is what these people are like. This is what they're like in real life, and this is how they govern. And they're all just about protecting their cash cow. What do we have to do? Democrats say, does Chuck Schumer think we should do this? Okay, as long as we can protect our cash cow, because it's all about lining their pockets. You want a great example of lining pockets? Look at what happened. Look at what happened off of the coast of Gaza with the pier, the $320 million pier that washed away. You might as well just wash that money right back into the pockets of whoever built it and right back to the senators and the representatives who voted, hey, we should do this. This will be a great thing. Yeah, let's do it. And it'll last about a week or 2, and then it'll wash away in a storm. Where do you think that money came from? It didn't come from their pockets. It came from yours. And they just keep taking. And now now what? DOD wants another $2 billion for military. Oh, we need $2 billion more. You've already wasted billions of dollars. Why would we give you more? Account for what you have. That's what I'd love to see. I'd love to see like in the movie Dave, where they bring in an accountant, like a real accountant, and goes, okay, we're going to go through the books here, line by line. You tell me where this money goes. We keep hearing some representatives and senators talk about it, but it never gets done. Why? Because it's their cash. They think they earned it. They think they deserve it. And it all comes from us. Douche.
Speaking of cash, Kash Patel tonight put this out. Congress subpoena the bank records for Merchant's daughter, the judge, Merchan's daughter. Find out how much money she has made for her family since her father unlawfully stayed on the case, and how much money she will make as a direct result of this unconstitutional verdict. In case you need a jurisdictional hook, Bragg's office receives federal funds from the DOJ to administer justice. Get on it. And while you're at it, subpoena Bragg and get all the docs from his Biden White House meetings. And I'll add something to that while you're at it. Why don't you find out what Biden was doing at Ashley Biden's house the other day before she testifies at the gun trial? Talk about witness tampering. Hello? Anybody want to talk about that? Same thing they're talking to Trump. Something they're going after Trump for. Biden goes and sees her the other day. Oh, thinks he just wants a visit? And she just happens to be testifying 2 days later? Have you heard anything about that? Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
And they try to play it off. Well, they were just going to talk about the dead kid, Bo. Really? Because I thought they would do that on the day of. Why would he need to show up a couple days early and talk about him then? That doesn't seem to make sense. Why would you just talk about it on the day where you took the day off from doing anything because you're old and decrepit and you got to go see about your dead son with his wife who ended up screwing your other son? Remember that? Were you guys talking about that too? We're going to talk about how maybe that stuff might come up in the trial, how you went from one bed to the other bed, and now he's trying to cover up what kind of scumbag family he's got? Maybe. Possibly. I think I'm a little angry.
But nobody's angry. Nobody's even talking about it. He goes over there and does it and visits her. I mean, what other reason? Just happens to be a couple days before she's going to testify. All of a sudden, he's going to go visit her. Oh yeah, sure. No, it's like Clinton meeting what's her name on the tarmac. Oh no, no, she came on the plane just because we were talking about grandkids and golf. Yeah, okay. This might be the best tweet of the night, though. If only Trump had just abandoned the laptop full of videos of himself smoking meth, banging hookers, waving illegal firearms around, and emails detailing his scheme to sell his dad's influence to China, all could have been avoided. Yeah.
I think what he should do, though, I know he's going to make a press conference. He's going to do a press conference tomorrow morning. What is it, about 11 o'clock, 11 a.m.?
Yeah.
He's going to be doing something. I think he needs to take this tack of attack moving forward and say, okay, wow, look at that. Hey, I got convicted. Whew, they got what they wanted. Now let me ask you this question. How's that inflation? Is it down? Can you still afford food? How about gas prices? Are they still up or are they down? Inflation, up or down? Border wide open or is it totally closed now? Is your life any better now that they got their pound of flesh? They got their headline? Probably not.
I think he should announce that him and the RNC have talked and they're going to move the convention to July 2nd and they're going to nominate him on July 4th so that he can show up for July 11th as the nominee to the sentencing. How about that?
I like that.
Jason Miller, you out there?
I have time. I could be there.
Anybody else out there? How about that? Instead of July 15th. Why don't we move it to July 2nd? 3rd, and then end it on the 4th with a nomination on July 4th. That sounds pretty America to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we don't have to, let's go into July 11th with the title already sewn up. But I don't know. I'm sure the Republican convention has a plan. One of these days, they'll let us know what it is.
I just typed the F word too. I did it in the Rumble chat.
To somebody or about something?
No, about Alvin Food Bag. Now I'm tired. All that anger got me tired. Now I'm hungry.
Mary Smith says, you guys are great. I found you by total accident and been here ever since. We love
nice.
that. I love that.
We love the accidental viewer. It means we got our claws into you.
That's the thing most people say, watch it once or twice. And
hey, we got 2217 on the X.
Nice. We need to get the numbers up immediately on all of the, like everything just everything feels like all of a sudden it's like revamped now.
Yeah.
We got to get the numbers up on all the platforms. We got to get the streams out to way bigger numbers. Everybody's got to like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed,
BWAG has a good idea. Nachos.
Yeah, nachos is always good. What about Crazy Town? I don't know. Should I play Crazy Town? It's not the night to play Crazy Town.
Yeah, probably not.
No. Not going to laugh like I laughed when I made it before this thing came out.
I do have a pretty good new Trump campaign ad they released.
Yeah, I saw it. It's pretty good.
We should play that.
You have it?
Yeah.
All right, we can play it, but I want to play Brett Tolman first.
Okay.
This clip I have of him from Benny's show. This will be my pick for Attorney General if Trump wins.
Super cymatic. Nachos go Delgado.
We will show the ad. We'll show it. Those of you asking for it. I haven't. I saw it online. I didn't actually stop and listen to it. I saw it kind of playing, but so I'll be anxious to see it too. All right, 13 to the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Thursday night. Glad you've been a part of the show tonight. I want to thank Ben Bergquam, David Zier, Rudy, and Andrew Giuliani, and Rudy. He's been on the show before. Remember, he told us Joe Biden's one of the dumbest people.
Yeah,
remember that first time he was on? Aaron and Fran holding it down as always. Delgado riding shotgun with me. Slick's off tonight. He'll be back tomorrow. Before we get to this new Trump ad that's out tonight, I want to play this clip. I haven't even actually heard it, but it's Brett Tolman with Benny Johnson. Brett Tolman would be my pick for Trump's Attorney General if he gets elected. Former federal prosecutor, brilliant guy. Everything I've heard from him, I just couldn't agree more with him. Spot on. And let's hear what he talked to Benny about the sentencing here.
What are your friends saying to you? I assume you got 400,000 texts the moment this dropped.
Yeah,
you're one of the. You have this incredible legacy, and you've tried so many criminal cases, and so few would know what it's like to be inside of a trial like this more than you. What does this say about our system? Are we facing an actual constitutional crisis here?
Yeah, I think we're facing a crisis that, it does change the game, Benny. And look, everybody that reached out from, those that are traumatized to, in disbelief and angry and afraid. Look, there's plenty of opportunity for us to save this country. And I would say there are, if we realistically look at this case, there never was an acquittal possible. I predicted long ago, I thought that the hung jury was the overwhelming, result that I predicted. But when you have the judge that was leaning on the scales of justice from the beginning of opening arguments, actually before that, to his rulings on motions to exclude evidence, his rulings during the trial, his objections to cross-examination. I mean, Benny, it's bad when the judge takes a different tone when speaking to the prosecution versus when he speaks to the defense in front of the jury. All of that adds up. It hits and it weighs in the minds of the jury. And then, an instruction like they gave, the elimination of key evidence the defense wanted to put on, it is almost impossible to get anything better than a hung jury in a case like this. So, look, we'll look our wounds. This judge has considerable power now. On July 11th, he has the power to take Trump forthwith. He can take him, put him in custody right then. and he can do it for whatever period of time. Now, Kash Patel is accurate that there's a range of sentence that's supposed to be a range that the judge follows, but the rules are out the window. Who knows what this judge will do? I predict that he will give him some jail time. I think he will fine him. He'll give him a stern lecture, and then he'll promptly plan his retirement and a book deal.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I think he's absolutely right.
Dead on.
That's exactly what we tried to lay out earlier in the show. And I saw a lot of comments that I was crazy.
Dead on.
I don't think so.
They are going for that's what it all is at this point, because they're lining up for their book deals now. This is how they get paid off, by the way. This is how the left pays off their D-bags, in the media and in politics, is they get a book deal, a book that nobody reads, but somehow they make, they get a $5 or $6 million advance on. And why does that? Because, they got to get paid off, and that's how they do it, through book deals. So I'm glad that he brought up the book deal, because you can see all these of course. D-bag Alvin food bag, he's going to look for a book deal. The jurors, they're all going to be looking for their book deals, because hey, they got to get paid too. They can't survive on $12.50 or whatever they get paid a day to do jury duty. So watch for the plethora of book deals coming forth from all of these people. It'll be the confirmation that they're getting their money.
All right, let's see your ad.
Oh, the Trump ad. Yes, this came out a little bit right after the verdict. The Trump campaign released this. This is cut number 4, the new Trump campaign ad. Check this out.
Thank you for joining us here today. Earlier this afternoon, Donald Trump was arraigned by a Manhattan grand jury on 34 felony counts.
This case is an abomination. It's obviously political. 7 years to try to come up with this case. They're just wrong on the law.
The only crime that Donald Trump is being prosecuted for is the crime of running for president.
Political persecution at the highest level.
They've quite frankly given up on trying to beat him at the polls. Either going to steal it or stop it by law firm.
A Democrat prosecutor elected on a Get Trump platform.
What's going on here is a disgusting disgrace. It is war on Trump. It is war on the Republican Party. And it is a war on the Republic.
This case is the weakest case I've seen in 60 years of teaching, practicing, and writing about criminal law.
I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump.
This judge, you don't need a prosecutor if you have a judge like this. This judge is not on the level.
It's a terrible case, but the judge has been pretty much a rubber stamp on everything that Bragg has wanted to do.
They're perverting the system of justice. That's where the danger lies. The corruption and subversion of our institutions by the left.
This is the Democrats' entire strategy, to confine President Trump to a dirty criminal courtroom and keep him off the campaign trail where he can bring his winning message to voters across this country.
New York has become a legal banana republic. They are so determined to get Donald Trump.
Look, convicting Donald Trump, that's all they have.
I think they have no cards. And they're depending upon Trump getting convicted.
That Trump train doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
The only verdict that matters is the verdict at the ballot box.
There you have it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Kind of says it all.
Boy, I tell you, Brett, I know I said it and we talked about this yesterday, but hearing Brett Tolman say it, he expects him to give him time. And I don't know.
Well, you know what? A lot of people in the chat love the July 4th idea. I think they should make that happen. I know it's probably impossible to make happen a month out and all the logistics involved, but who knows? You know what? Where there's a will, there's a way. So.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, exactly. I question the first part for a lot of people involved with this party. The will part. So, it's a good ad. It's a good ad, but it's going to take more than snappy ads to win this thing. And what Bannon said on with Charlie Kirk there is Well, we'll see tomorrow what this. I guess it's 11 a.m. The president's going to be speaking from Trump Tower.
Yeah. You know what I'd love to do is also find out from an attorney if we would ever get to see how they, how they voted on each charge. Because again, they went and did something no one's ever seen before. You only have to get 4 out of 12 on this one, 4 out of 12 on this one, and 4 out of 12 on that one. We'll gather them all together. That'll count as 12. That's unanimous as far as they're concerned. So I'd love to see. Again,
it'll be interesting to see if they even knew what the secondary, in reference to or whatever the secondary crime.
Yeah.
If they even make mention of it.
Or if any of the jurors do come out and say, look, a bunch of us voted not guilty on this one and this one, and they still went with they just gathered them all up and added them all together to make 12.
Can't imagine we'll ever hear from them.
Oh, we're going to hear from them.
You think they're going to want to make themselves known?
Some of them.
I guess in New York City they will. They'll be heroes.
Yeah, some of them will.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, as always, we salute our military, active and active, police, firefighters, first responders, EMTs, everybody on the front lines. Thanks, everybody at Real America's Voice, everybody who was part of the show tonight. Thanks, Rick Delgado. Aaron Friend, great job as always. We'll see you tomorrow night to wrap up another great week right here live from Studio 6B. Have a great night, everybody.